Welcome to Pain with a Purpose, the podcast where we dive deep into the stories of resilience, redemption, and purpose. I'm your host, Chris Woods, and each week we will sit down with guests who have faced challenges with substance abuse, mental health, and recovery. But we're not just dwelling on the past. Instead, we'll explore what keeps them driven towards a purposeful life. Join us as we navigate the journey from pain to a purpose. Welcome back, Season 1, Episode 3. We got Tyler Bowker with us today.
My man.
If you don't know, you're about to find out.
Quickly.
Let's go through the stat sheet, right? At one time, probably back in like 97, hell of a shortstop,
yeah,
right?
Good time.
We had him out, where were we, Arizona? No, Austin. He was struggling. He still had it. He still has the, but he was definitely struggling a little bit. And then he faked the whole sickness, but it is what it is.
That was Texas, yeah. That was Texas. Yeah. I got a vitamin pack from a friend of mine, and it knocked me out. It was, I don't know what was in this pack.
I was trying to help you out. I mean, it's literally essential. They were essential vitamins, like a men's multivitamin, and it just put you down.
It's not an essential body here, brother. We needed Red Bulls, not vitamin E.
So yeah, Tyler Bowker today. Appreciate you coming out. There was a time, right, that you actually, we might have like briefly talked about it, like in passing, and I don't think you really realized it, right? But we got to be going on. I'm coming up on 10 years, God willing, right? So we got to be going on 12 years ago.
Decade's big.
Where you were speaking at a treatment center, local treatment center, and you were with a buddy that is still doing well, right? And anyway, long story short, I was in the crowd, and I was on the other side.
Oh, you're on the other side. Okay.
Yeah. And at the time, I wasn't really sold on, getting clean and sober or getting in recovery or anything like that. But what you guys were talking about was like one of the many times, but like one of the very first times where I was like, how are these guys doing it? And first off, I was like, there's no way these guys are doing it. Like, these guys must just be bored, and I don't know why they're coming out here and telling us about
they're lying.
Recovery.
Yeah.
He's got to be on something. Mm-hmm. And you had some years then.
Yeah. If that was 10, we would have 8. Yeah, probably 8 years then.
Which was unfathomable, right? And now, you have... What, 18?
19 years, November 9th coming up, yeah, a few months.
So talk a little bit about that, right? Because for me, right, I'm seeing, even with the number of years that I've been coming around, like, people are kind of like, I wouldn't say dropping like flies, but like, it's not recovery the way I perceive it. Used to be like a really cool thing. And I don't know if that's just my distorted thinking or whatever the case is, but I see a lot of people kind of just like falling off or not showing up or not engaging in the recovery.
Yeah.
How have you done that?
It's a couple parts there. I think the testament is the H&I, we call it. It's the hospital institutions. Mm-hmm. That was where I first heard the message. It was in another local treatment center. I heard the message there, and that's where it got carried. And that's where you were in a treatment facility. I was able to bring the message there through, a 12-step program, had a service commitment. I was either chairing or speaking, whichever the arrangement was, and it's what keeps us fresh. It's a pivot to the second portion that you talked about, is the giving back and not disappearing, acquiring all the gifts that, Narcotics Anonymous presents us. And as I've acquired these things, it's our job to replant the seed. And oftentimes we can plant that seed back in a treatment facility, and kind of, as we accumulate the days, the weeks, the months, it's imperative that we're around for the newcomer and somebody new to, give back what was so freely given to us, and that time it started in a treatment facility, to just carry the message, let people know, like yourself, a stunning, young, strapping, wannabe softball player,
I didn't know it at the time.
Yeah.
Well, at that time, I was still so distorted. I was like, I'm going to the major league.
Oh, you were the bigs, yeah. You were just on a pit stop.
Yeah.
You were just taking a pit stop. I get it.
Well, I wasn't like you guys.
No.
You know what I mean?
I hear you.
I don't know if you ever went through that, especially when you got clean, but like I knew I had a problem.
Yeah.
Right. Like it was very apparent to everybody in my life that I had a problem, but like I got into that treatment center and I was like, well, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. Right. I'm definitely not doing any of that. I'm just,
I can relate
I'm just
to that.
physically
Yeah.
addicted to this stuff. Right. And if I could just put this down, like I'll be all right. Right. And then I came off a detox and I woke up sober and I was like, I gotta go.
Yeah,
You gotta get me out of here. Oh my God. We could have a whole segment on that.
Yeah, I can relate to the not like you guys. So I got clean at 20, and even once I got out of I was in the mental hospital, Lower Bucks County Mental Hospital. It's long gone now. It might be like Gaudenzia or, but I was strapped in. I had a drug-induced psychosis.
Couldn't leave.
Oh no. We were strapped in, and but even once I had a small case. We had a little law infringement, and it was attorneys like lawyer or jail, and I chose the latter. But even once I found out after my first couple days clean, after getting out of the treatment, I wasn't like them. I wasn't like these old people. I wasn't like the old men and women in Narcotics Anonymous. I was different. They didn't grow up where I grew up. They didn't do the same things that I did. And even having that understanding that I earned my seat, it was still the situation that I carried for a little bit, that you weren't raised like I was. You didn't grow up in Section 8. You didn't have a single mom. My mom had my brother at 16, had me at 19. And good segue for mom, if you're interested. Mom was I don't often talk about my mother much. Single mom, had all the love in the world growing up, but we didn't have much. We were, Section 8 public housing, and fast forward, me and my brother, we chose our own path. My brother was a full-blown heroin addict at 16, had somewhere to go, had a home, and couldn't leave Kensington. I took a different path early. I fell in love with the streets and the aura of what was out there. And so my brother gets clean 2001, 01, 02. I get clean 2005. And between the time that me and my brother were getting clean, my mom went back to Ivy League college, had a full scholarship, funded. She picked up a few different languages. She spoke French, Spanish, English. Brilliant woman. She had gotten in a motorcycle accident and lost an inch of her femur bone. Bad accident. Doctor put her on the pain pills. And, it talks about in some of her literature, like it doesn't discriminate, right? It's like the little old lady hitting the doctor for pills, or the, hardened junkie, stuck on the street. And mom got the pills, and she picked up a habit. And then before you know it, I'm a decade into recovery, getting my mom in and out of treatment, handfuls and handfuls of treatment. Very intellectually ignorant, my mom, like the most brilliant woman, but almost too smart for her own good for recovery, And long story short, mom would, lost her fight. She had overdosed in Kensington, and, she lost her fight, but the fight's over for her. And, that's something that I made peace with fairly quickly.
Yeah. What year was that?
2021. Yeah, in 21.
Jesus, so that was only
2020. Yeah, August 2020.
So, like COVID time.
So, COVID time. So, as my mom, some of the most humiliating times in my life would be meeting my mom down the way and giving her like feminine products or handfuls of change out of my truck. The interesting thing is, it was right when COVID had started. And after mom had passed, I was so grateful because at that time it was a little more scary. It wasn't, edited out if you want, but it wasn't the flu. It was a little more scary then. Mm-hmm. And what the hell would I have done with my mom during COVID in Kensington on the streets, So yeah, it was right at COVID time.
That's wild, man. I don't know why I had this idea that it was like long before COVID.
No, I was right at the beginning. Yeah. Painful time, man. Painful time. It's part of the reason my being clean so long, my views have changed. Some things that I once believed in early on in recovery, I don't believe anymore. Right? I don't believe in some of the same hardened, tough love. Now I subscribe to help until it hurts. Help until you're getting robbed physically, spiritually, emotionally. Now, naturally, there is a line that we need to
for your own well-being.
Exactly. But so often we hear sometimes tough love. I would give up all of my limbs to help my mom one more time, or my dearest of friends that we lose, to just get them in treatment for that 36th time,
I think we had a conversation previously. It was probably when we were in Texas, right? Or whenever I cleaned your car. Shout out, you got a guy.
You got a guy? Spotless, by the way. I ruined it in a week.
So I know that we had a talk previously. I think we were in Texas. It was either that or when I was cleaning your car. The whole MAT thing. Right? Because correct me if I'm wrong, right? But I think I had told you I have my own personal ideas on MAT, and then I have my professional ideas on MAT. And over the years, as I've seen what's really going on in Kensington, right? There's no real denying it, right? People want to have this argument about it's good, it's bad, it's indifferent, right? Or they feel indifferent about it.
And what's MAT exactly? Again, I mean, I know what
Yeah. I mean, so MAT when I got clean and sober was Vivitrol, right? I actually went into Miramont.
Kids called it Vivi.
Yeah. Well, I went into a treatment center for the subbies, right? Not a fun detox.
I've heard.
And the crazy thing is that I got some sobriety time under my belt, and then again went right back out. But regardless, so now it's Suboxone, Sublocade, methadone is definitely making a rise again, right? There's a bunch of them now, on top of the Vivitrol and the Antabuse, and there's probably more to come, right? But at the end of the day, what I think I'm hearing, right, is if that was the case for mom, you'd be okay with it.
My mom specific, so two parts, I guess. Mom specific is no, because mom was a free-spirited, hippie, man. She was.
Oh, okay.
She was big on happiness, self-worth. I think as the evolution of our disease is how I talk about it. I think there might be a space for the maintenance. My hardened stance on it as a man in recovery for quite a long time is I have a portfolio of thousands and thousands of people, men I've sponsored, peers, friends. When it comes down to it for me is I feel like it strips you the opportunity of the full quality of life that you would have if you did not subscribe to a maintenance program. I
think it's really interesting because obviously I work in treatment, right? And some of the MAT detox protocols just don't work anymore, right? It's not touching the xylazine or the fentanyl, right? And so, a lot of these treatment centers, whatever the case may be, are going back to what worked a number of years ago, right?
Is that methadone?
Methadone, yeah.
Wow,
yeah. But that same thought process, right, where it's if somebody comes, is going through a detox protocol, they are so high risk at this point because there's so much into it, or so much more of that mental aspect of it. I don't know.
It just seems so diluted that I think in the core of behavioral health and drug and alcohol, that if there is the core values of wanting to help, my concern is that money has gotten in the way of some of this, and there's a direct correlation. And again, I'm no doctor, but there's a direct correlation opening up some of this funding as we're pushing maintenance and methadone, that there may be a return cycle. There might be a return visit. Not that owners and operators of people are let's get Johnny on methadone and bring him back, but let's not turn a blind eye and act like it's not a range of outcomes.
Right. And I think a lot of it, do you know a lot about or enough about Sublocade?
Just entry level. I know.
So what I just most recently found out, and I've heard a lot of success stories about it, is that like they can, over a period of time, right? Like you're also not taking something every day, right? Which was for me was huge. Like that was for me the start of recovery, right? It was like not having to take something so I could, okay, let's start our day.
Yeah, let's get to life. Yeah.
Or scheme until I got it, right? But so the Sublocade shot, if I understand it correctly, you're administered it on a monthly basis. And then, as you continue to taper down, there comes a time where you just don't get it, right? And literally, and I've heard it from people, is like, I just walked off. No withdrawal symptoms, nothing. So I'd love to see us get to that point. The issue is that the xylazine and the fentanyl, right? Where it's like, it's not strong enough.
It's not blocking it. So I would like to hear the success stories of these, because I'm in a fellowship to where, it's hinges on one addict's experience helping another. So I don't often hear a plethora of people talking about, yes, we just walked off Sublocade. Here's what happened. That's what needs to happen, right? It needs to come to light. It needs to come out of the dark. If people feel strong about it and there's some, results on it, let's hear it. Let's start talking about it,
And I honestly, and maybe I'm just not educated enough, I just don't, outside of where I work, right, or just in the space that I work, I don't really hear it talked about too often. There's still just like a huge stigma around it, and I get it. I was on Suboxone for a number of months. And it was like a dark part of my life, really, really bad.
I just heard horror stories, man.
I mean, you know the deal, right? Like I was getting my script, right? And then I was only keeping half my script, right?
Yeah.
And then I was selling the rest of my script to get one or two of what I really wanted, just so I could have fun or think I'm having fun for a day, right? And then I'm right back to the scheming. But like it also, there has to be some statistics as well as far as at what point does recovery start and like that actively using stop, right?
Yeah.
And like, is that a mindset? Is that a more of a how long have you sustained from your drug of choice? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's autonomous, I suppose, to each fellowship. As like if you're in Narcotics Anonymous, and I'm just a member, I'm not here representing, but in a fellowship like that, if you say you're clean, you're clean. Then we have service commitments that sometimes require clean time. It's a topic that's going around in our fellowship a little bit.
With the MAT?
With some maintenance, right?
Okay.
Meaning, if you want to lead a meeting, at your home group, each home groups are different, but some will say, hey, we'd like you to have 90 days clean. Some people just look down on it or aren't okay with it. Me, it's like our home group, if you're clean, you say you're clean. We welcome people on, the doors are open for everybody. On maintenance, no maintenance, whatever it is, but there's, some other people are stuck in their ways. And it's an interesting question though, like when does your recovery start? I mean, I'll answer the hard question, like as far as I'm concerned, like until we walk off any mood or mind altering substance is, when we should probably start doing some work. It's not about the what any longer. It's the why that we're interested. The what, the drugs, it's the easy. Yeah. So let's get doing some work in the why.
So now we're really going to get into it.
Sure.
Right?
Oh boy, let me lean up for this.
For all I know, we might have to edit all this out.
Okay, please, editor, help me out here. Don't incriminate.
I don't have an editor. It just comes out great product every single time.
I bet.
As far, especially like how many people forget 18 years ago, right? Like think about 10 years ago. How many people did we see get sober or clean or, enter into a life of recovery, whether it's on MAT or not? And now to the outside world, I don't know what it looks like when they're trying to put their head to sleep, right? But like they're doing their own thing, right? They're drinking or they're socializing and they're out there doing their thing. Maybe they're just smoking weed or maybe they're just doing whatever, right? And my now personal opinion on it is like, hey, if they're not burning their life to the ground, okay, right? Because I learned, I wouldn't say early on, but I had a really hard lesson this last year, 2 years, when I watched a really good friend of mine slowly but surely just use his way into death.
Yeah.
Who am I? You know, I'm not God. As much as any given time I wake up and I try to play the part, right, of being God. Like, who am I to say, like, if you're not, like, absolutely miserable or burning your life to the ground, okay.
Yeah.
And it also segues into the thought of, like, from just a perspective outside of the rooms, right? What defines recovery?
Yeah. So I think that first part that you talked about, it's deep. It's deep enough, but if your primary focus, your meaning my, introduce whoever you want in the your, but if your primary focus is recovery, there's no but. There's no comma. Mm-hmm. There's no but my life isn't withering. So it's recovery must come first. As we acquire days, weeks, months, and years clean, I call them thieves. Now, they steal and they pluck the fruit from what they have to offer, and they take it, and they don't replant the seed. Doesn't mean I hate them or judge them if they're my friends outside of recovery and they're smoking weed, and I hope they have the best of life. But recovery must come first. So as I subscribe to that, there's no starting to convince myself, because I think that is your and our disease. As we say, oh, well, look at Johnny. He's smoking a little Dutch. Mm-hmm. You know, he's got the wife. He's got the Audi out there with the turbocharged whatever. Yeah. You know, house in the suburbs.
Sounds great.
He was with me. You know.
Yeah.
He's smoking weed and drinking. That's a disease. Mm-hmm. There's no claim about it. That is the disease of addiction. That's, doing the proverbial push-ups. And I don't let myself get into that. If they're not active in recovery, that's their choice. Yeah. But staying around and active is
so my thing is, like, don't get me wrong, I've had those thoughts. Right?
Oh, brother,
I've been in some deep, like like dark places, right, where it's like, it wasn't that bad. I'm like, dude, you just, you're coming up on 10 years and you're saying it's not that bad.
Yeah, check them veneers you got, brother.
Yeah,
it was,
Listen, don't let for the viewers at home, I don't have veneers. It's a flipper. Yeah. Okay. So it comes and goes whenever I want it.
If you sat me on the no tooth side, you could have sat me on the other side with the full set. That's a setup.
You want me to take mine?
That's terrible.
I'll pop mine out for you.
Borrow them.
I just, there's a lot of people in my life that if they do watch it, great, but they had no clue that I'm missing a ton of teeth. Mm-hmm. But, my thing is just like, like I've seen it, right? And I know my truth, right? And it's just from like a lot of work that I've done on myself, right? And like, absolutely like me still going to, my home group and things of that nature, where it's like I need to keep that fresh in my head that's not ever going to be me. I don't think I can ever drink or use successfully, because history tends to repeat itself. It wasn't just like a phase.
You have a sample of life ruining.
Right. That's not normal. Nobody goes to treatment the number of times that I go to, and it's like, I was just I was growing up. It's not.
That was a speed bump. Did you say speed bump or ball?
Yeah.
But
so that's, I don't know. But I do see a lot of those people, right, that for all things considered are still doing well, right? Still showing up to work and things of that nature.
No, but how are they doing inside?
Well, and that's what was just like the second half. Like, I don't know what it looks like for them when they're trying to lay their head at night.
Do you want to find out?
No, because I also know what it looks like for me when I'm sober and not doing what I need to do, right? And I really would rather not magnify that, because I can get in some dark places just stone cold sober.
I don't need any help wrecking this thing already. Yeah. We do it without the drink and the drug.
Yeah, which is wild, right? Because I don't know I know that your family's a bit different than mine, right? But maybe like your significant other's family or whatever the case may look like, where they're like, so proud of you. And it's like, first and foremost, thank you. I appreciate it. But like, it's not all rainbows and great days.
No.
Don't get me wrong. The obsession to like drink and use has been lifted a long time ago. Thank God, because I literally couldn't get a day. And if I did get a day, I was thinking about it all goddamn day. But I can absolutely be ready to like
let it on fire.
Yeah.
You know what my favorite is with the family? I don't have much family. I have a dad that's around. All my family is my friends.
But you do, though. But we'll get into that.
No, we do.
Yeah.
that I've come with, right? Like my family's dead or gone, or we were kind of blackballed. But my favorite is when we had first gotten clean, I'm sure you can relate, is like the family member at like the barbecue that knows that you're clean and sober, and they have the beer and they like hide it behind their back. And they're like, hey, Chris. Yeah. And they got the Corona. And meanwhile, I was just running a fucking spoon in the dry. Like, brother, I don't care about your Corona. Yeah. You know, the awkward, I drink. I know, that's that awkward.
Well, like, dude, I'll do you one better.
That's it.
So, like, obviously, opiates was my thing, right? And me and my dad never really had a relationship like that. Although, when I got sober, do I got to drug test you? What's going on over there?
No, I got a hair. I think it's these headphones peeling off.
Don't say that.
It might be one of my fiance's hairs dangling in the hat.
But yeah, so like I never really had a relationship with my dad. And probably because he was like us. He just never got sober. And through some some inventory and some amends work, right, especially with him as well, like I don't resent that man anymore, and I actually kind of saw him for the remainder of his life as a sick person. But it was funny, man. Like I'd have like a year, 2 years sober, and again, opiates were my deal, right? Drinking was always there too, but he always I go to AA, right?
Wait, can we get to some tough stuff here?
Yeah.
Opiates are my thing, but I go to AA.
So we're about to
let's hear it. I need to hear it. I never understood after
we can
2
absolutely
decades.
get into that.
Okay.
Because AA works. I'm just kidding. Don't walk out just yet.
No, not yet. I can do Valiums. I'm coming there.
So I would show up to like public functions or like barbecues or whatever the case may be for my dad, and I'm playing the part, and he always wanted to like. God rest his soul. He always wanted to like show me off, right? Not that I'm anything special, right? But my brother Sean, myself, we would come around here and there. And Sean is everything that I'm not, right? Never touched a single drug in his life. Became a Philly cop. He's a cop.
Shout out to Sean.
Yeah.
Get out of jail free card.
But we would show up, and my dad immediately would be like, you want a beer? And I'm like, Dad.
Yeah.
AA. And he'd be like, yeah, nah, I know, but like that wasn't your thing. I'm like, yeah, no, but I'm in AA.
Yeah,
dude.
I get it. I get that.
So, so as far as the AA thing.
But that was him caring, though. That wasn't him trying to wreck you.
No, that was him trying to bond.
Yeah. They don't get it.
Yeah, and I didn't like hold him accountable for that or anything like that. I laughed it off. And like crazy enough, right, especially with how many times I've been to treatment, with a little bit of work done on myself at that time, like I wasn't fighting it, right? I wasn't like trying to like not put it in my body or like staring at the cooler the entire party. It was like I just went down. That's that.
The cooler. I'm looking at purses and unlocked vehicles.
Well, I am too. But so the reason I went to AA, so I originally went to NA, and I don't know why I had the experience that I did, but I'm glad that I did.
Right.
So I left whatever number treatment center, and I was like, okay, I'll finally take whatever suggestion you guys are talking about. I'll go to your meetings. I'm not going to do sober living because I'm not that sick.
No, we're only going to do a little bit, yeah.
Sponsor, maybe, if I see somebody. Right. Shout out Mel from, like Roxbury, Manayunk, NA. Dude always had his hand out. I was never willing to take it. Always treated me with, like, kindness and respect.
Good.
That dude played. He probably will never know. He'll probably never see this, but he played such a huge integral part of what I thought or what I knew good recovery could look like.
We keep people like that alive by talking about them every day, sharing about. I don't know Mel, but talking about Mel in this light. Mel for long live Mel.
Yeah, and to this day, if I ever see him like passing on the road, like we're laying on the horn each other.
That's nice.
But yeah, so I went to a few NA meetings. Hindsight's 2020, right? Like my mom brought me to the NA meetings.
She dropped you off?
Yep. Dropped me off, picked me up. And yeah, I'm sick, dude. I am sick. Like I take out my phone while someone's sharing, right? And I'm starting to write bullet points in my phone because I want to sound smarter than everybody else. And then I'm checking my phone as I'm sharing.
That's brilliant.
But don't get me wrong. It was my first real taste of like a real community that was doing the right thing. I saw people, even young people, like getting clean and sober and staying clean and sober. Some people were still living in the Salvie. But yeah, I just couldn't stop.
That was Westchester?
No, Roxborough.
Roxborough.
But I just could not stay. I couldn't stay in recovery. So fast forward another stint at that same rehab that I go to frequently. Every like 3 to 6 months, I just stop in there. See, I want to make sure everybody's doing good.
Yeah, see the staff.
Yeah, again, I think I'm not as sick as everybody, but yet everybody knows me by my face at this point. It's wild. But I'm finally like, okay, Mom, I can't come home, you know? And I go to sober living in Bucks County, and that's just what everybody was doing.
AA.
Yeah. And I was like, well, what do you mean we're going to AA? And they're like, well, that's just like what we do here.
It must be Levittown. You were in Levittown?
Yeah.
Yes. Checks out.
Worse, Croydon.
Yeah.
It's Croydon. And, you know, they told me I was going to AA. And then I got to the first meeting that I went to. And it wasn't any different other than the language of how they introduce themselves, right? Traditions aside, right? I'm not like super educated on all that stuff, but like I saw a lot of people, and I'm sure it was the same from when you got sober or clean, right? Because it's still, jury's still out. We're going to get into why I look at you and think you're from Delco, but really you're from South Philly.
That's funny. It's an interesting dynamic.
But
the reason I asked about the AA thing is because there's like, I guess it's not around as much, but there's like that opposite team thing. Mm-hmm. And in all reality, as I'm like with the friend, although we break each other's balls, it's like, I hope that you have the time of your life there. But when I first had gotten clean, AA was like more socially acceptable. AA was like if you told your peer at
now
work.
Now we're talking stigma.
Well,
because you didn't get sober because you got clean in 05.
I got clean in 05.
Do you know where I was in 05?
Probably in the sandbox.
Fifth grade, bud.
Fifth grade. Got you. Yeah. Listen, I caught a habit early. I caught a habit early, man. I was addicted to the street first. All kidding aside. My story is I had a street light curfew, like the street lights come on, I have to be in. I was so sick as a young man that the street lights would come on, my friends would be home, and I would stay out just because. This was before the drink and the drug. This was before any substance. It was rebel. It was a not wanting to be in the bedroom by myself. I was more comfortable out on the street. So 05, man, yeah, it was a good time. Good time. But to finish the AA thing, it was just more socially acceptable. Like, I'm going to AA meeting. Now, if you said going to an NA meeting, you're like, hey, get that guy away from me. Yep. Ironically enough, not ironic, is thanks to AA, we adopted their 12 steps, traditions, concepts. We put our own spin on. NA is now a standalone fellowship, but we have taken the 12 steps and traditions, and the steps help us. The traditions protect us from us. So that's anyway, I wanted to touch on that.
And listen, and where I got sober, I don't know how much of like the traditions were really being upheld. We could have a whole conversation about that, right? Because, although I was saying, hey, I'm Chris, I'm an alcoholic, everything else that followed was not typically what you would hear an alcoholic say, right? So yeah, I don't know,
where that stigma.
I don't know. I know it worked for me. I know it continues to work for me. There's a whole nother part to it, right? So and again, we joke around about it. But like when I started the step work, like that's really
deep.
I mean, dude, deep isn't even the word.
It's deep.
Because I did it twice.
That is the solution. Right? Well, we did it twice. There's no finish line here.
So the first time around,
we keep going. We start again.
First time around, I would sit in front of my sponsor and I'd be like, "Yep, yeah, no, I did that. Yeah, I believe in that. Yeah, no, I made amends. Right? Like, no, I'm sponsoring guys. Like, and really just yesing them to death, right? Because I was in a recovery house that required you to do step work, right? And not only was it a requirement, I'm also an addict alcoholic to the real extent. Where it's like, I'm not going to let you pass me, Oh,
it's a race.
Some would say it a race. Some other people would call it microwave recovery, right? But regardless, what my experience was is that I did not have an experience with the 12 steps.
Yeah, you just yes man them. I mean, it's a way of life, and I mean, I'll tell you this from my core: it's not a race. There's no finish line. It's a set of spiritual principles that help us when we're not in the meeting. That help us when we're having family problems. That help us, quite frankly, when everything is going good. How do we react? How do we continue to mold for a better future? The first time I went through, I was 25, 26. It took me 10 years. It took me 4 years to even start.
All right, I was going to take a shot.
Okay, go ahead. Let's hear it.
I mean, 4 years to start?
It took me plus into 4 years. I mean, listen, I got clean when I was 20, Chris. We had now took the drugs away, and I had this big void in me as a young man because I got here and I had all the answers. You couldn't tell me anything. I got clean. I had $3,200. I was 20. All the
you were living.
Are you crazy, dude? I had all the answers.
We're going to Rivers.
We're going fun. Now Rivers wasn't even built yet, brother. Okay, we were taking the trek to Atlanta. Keep in mind, we got some cloth in us. We were taking the AC trip.
Live wasn't there. Rivers wasn't there,
brother.
Nothing.
We were hopping on
Harris.
Harris was there, brother. We were so bad. We had to take the extra 37-minute ride from South Philly to AC to avoid the tolls because we didn't want to pay the $4 tolls. We needed that.
You never know.
You needed that. You needed that. So,
wow.
So it took me time for the 12 steps, man. And as I went through the first time, similar experience. I did them because I was supposed to. But as I have developed life experience, things have changed. We talk about that. Like, I don't subscribe to the same things. I feel different. I don't believe in the same God that I once do, right? A lot of things have changed over the years, and so have my 12 steps, Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I am like a clear picture that, like, you can sit in front of a sponsor, have a home group, have a commitment at that home group, right? For all things from the outside looking in, right? Like, we are so proud of you. You're doing so good. He is so serious about his recovery. One, just completely causing harm, right? Behind closed doors. That when I think nobody's looking, and it's killing me inside. But two, right? Like, not having an experience with the 12 steps, and really all the main reason why I interpreted of why we get through the 12 steps for multiple different reasons, but the most important for me is to grow in effectiveness with God, right? Whatever that may look like to me on any given day. So when I came back around, I sat in front of a sponsor that I originally hated because he was very opinionated on Facebook. That was it.
Oh, really?
I just hated his Facebook post. So I was like, all right, let me ask this guy, right? And he told me exactly what you mentioned earlier in the podcast, right? Where he was like, dude, you're just a thief. He was like, you get a taste of, like, how good it can get, and you're gone. You could care less about, like, the person that's still struggling or the person that's just coming in the door. You don't make amends. You get what you want to get, and then you roll.
Thief.
And then from there, right, like, yes, it was a quick process. I went through the 4-step again. Doing a 5th step with a sponsor and seeing that it's all shit that I did in sobriety.
It's touching. That's the hit. That's the hit, because the first time I did it, similar experience. I had the drugs to blame.
Yep.
I had a faulty childhood to blame. The second time through, with multiple businesses, a loving fiance, engaged, multiple employees, men I sponsor, my sponsees, there's no excuse. So when you dig deep into that...
No, not only is there no excuse, that's my default setting. And that's what I had to come to grips with, regardless of my intentions, right? That's my default setting when I'm not doing this stuff. And that was a tough pill to swallow.
You ready for this, though? Think about... We'll sidetrack a little bit. Think about how good we have it. I mean, take the most random day of the month and how beautiful it is. I know what your story is with your family, and so take one of them white picket fence days. Imagine if we double down. Imagine if you take that work that we're doing, active in recovery, and we have gotten a corporate career, and maybe for some the twins and the house and the lovely blonde hair, beautiful wife, and the jobs and the side hustles. Imagine if you didn't level off and you said, let me double down from here. It doesn't have to end at the nice career and house. It doesn't have to end there. We're allowed to push it all back in to go even further. Now, there's some contentment that we're allowed to strive for. We're allowed to want to level out and want to settle in the white picket fence and the house and the wife. And for me, I'm doubling down. Like, I've gotten all the way here with 18 years clean, multiple businesses like I talked about. I'm not settling. I'm shooting the gap.
Yeah.
You know, I want more, man.
And for the people, just to put it in context for anybody that may be watching, right? Like, we're not talking about financials.
No.
We're talking about spirituality.
I'm talking about spirituality that you don't even, like the relationship that I have with God. When they talked about beyond my wildest dreams, I'm talking about the stuff that I feel inside. It's a good segue to, as we acquire some things, they don't level, or they're not our end all be all, but once you work hard for these things, I like my things. Let's not get it twisted. You know, I like my things, and quite frankly, I'm going to want more of it. You know, so I'm going to push. I'm going to do some more work and double down.
It's the same thing, right? Where I talk to a few individuals that are like in my close circle, like in a workspace, in like a work setting. And a lot of times, like, we just have transparent conversations about like finances, and like they want more, right? Or they want, you know, like what's next, right? Or whatever that looks like for them. And the truth is, right, because they're very much like me, is like, you listen, it doesn't matter, because if I'm not like doing what I need to do for myself, call it recovery, call it like step work, call it like sponsoring other men, calling it some sort of self-improvement. If I'm not doing that stuff, doesn't matter if I'm making $1 million a year. I will absolutely find a way to still be miserable.
Recovery must come first. Once we check that box every day I wake up, recovery comes first. After that, I've been awarded with the rest of a day. And I'm a guy now where I'm at, to where I want to maximize that. I'm trying to elevate past what society expected from me. I'm trying to take it to a whole nother level, though, Chris.
But don't you think that you already did?
I have, and this is the double down part that I'm talking about. I have a clear recognition of freedom from the disease of addiction, and freedom from mood, mind altering substance. But it doesn't have to end there, is what I'm saying, is what I'm suggesting.
Well, the goal is really freedom from self, right? And I haven't hit that yet. I've had taste of it, right? But like, the majority of my day not being consumed about my shit or my plans, or you not acting the way that I need you to act so I can get something out of it, I still haven't hit that yet.
Yeah. I think that is a commitment in recovery, man. It's my sponsor. It's a big fella. Shout out to Al P.
That's right. I knew that. Every time you say that too, by the way, I always say, "Oh, Al's your sponsor."
It's funny.
Never met him. Know the name very well.
We talk about it all the time. One for others, right? And it's not a figure of speech. It's a way of life. This guy sponsoring me long time, well over a decade. He changes these home groups all the time. We're taking this back 10 years, and I'm like, I've had one home group, by the way, 18 years. Sunday night, Norwood, 7:30. I'm out there. Shout out to the Norwood Free to Recover. Anyway,
Norwood, Delaware County.
We'll get into the South Philly when you're ready. So sponsors changing these home groups. And in my head, I'm like, yo, bro, why don't we stick with something? He says, Tyler, I'm planting the seed here, you know, and after some time, I finally saw what he was doing. He was taking an area where there was no active group. He was starting a group would get strong, and he would leave. And guess what he would do? He would go to a failing group, or he would go start another meeting. And meanwhile, I'm over here, Mr. Pride. Look, I've never switched. This guy is literally one for others, you know, and if you want to get rid of yourself, just be one for others. You know, if you want to get out of the way of self, commit your life to others. And that's what I do every day, man.
Yeah.
But I found that there's more time in the day. You know, I'm not arrested to just being okay with self. I want more for myself. I want to spread myself a little bit, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
the whistle going to make it?
Listen, for the viewers at home, what do you think he's hitting over there?
That is an air whistle.
That's the most NA thing I've ever seen in my life.
Shout out to Mumta G. That's my fiance. We quit the vape. She got me an air whistle.
What? Oh, it's literally just an air whistle.
It's air. It's nothing. It's just the hands, the mouth. Keep your snide comments to yourself. All right, get into the Delco South Philly thing. Let's hear it.
A form of MAT?
You're getting deep in it. So no, I think it's a form of I don't want to smoke, and I'm going to do what I have to do.
Okay. All right.
MAT. This is maintenance. So sucking air.
Yeah.
Oh, it was caffeine. Should that be in the literature? Should we get coffee out of the meeting?
I also was like that guy, right? Like not only an AA meeting, but like at the front of an AA meeting, right?
Relapse row? No, you're in the front.
Speaking.
You're in the front.
Speaking, right?
Okay.
And I'm like, I was diagnosed with this, with that, with, the plethora of different things growing up, right? And I remember saying it, and I wish I could take it back. I can't. Where I would say, like, little did I know I was just an untreated alcoholic, right? And if I could just do a little bit of work on myself and forget about myself for 1 second and, like, somehow establish a connection with a higher power and grow it, everything was taken care of, right? And then fast forward to year 5, 6, 7, 8, I went through some, like, serious mental health stuff, right? And a lot of the doctors that I went to, they were like, COVID, and I'm like, no, it's there's no way. There's no way it's COVID. But, like, turns out for me, right, mental health is a very serious thing.
Yeah, big time.
And I had to come to grips with, like, because of the big book and like my sponsorship family, I had to come to be okay with myself that it's like, I need something. Outside
help. It talks about it in our literature,
No, it definitely does.
Some of us need to seek outside help, and that's okay.
Yeah. But there's also those people, like old timers, right? Whether it be NA or AA, that are like, I don't even take a Tylenol. Yeah. And of course I'm like, being a little cynical, but
martyrs.
Yeah. And that was so, like, burned in my consciousness that it's like, okay, well, you know what I need to do to fix myself? I need to dive more into helping others. I need to dive more into, like, some inventory. I need to dive more into prayer and meditation. I couldn't even get to that point because that's how screwed up I was up here. So, I mean, shout out to the people that had gone through it before me in, like, a 12-step fellowship, and they're like, hey, man, like the comment that you just made. Because it's okay, but I needed something.
There's platforms now for this, and it's the same thing we were talking about with the Subutex. It needs to be talked about. Mm-hmm. So as mental health is, some of the hashtags over the past 5-10 years, whatever, it's more commonly accepted because it's brought to the light now, and that will die in the light of exposure, that stigma or that thought. We need to hear the experience from experienced members or people that are going through whatever it may be. Let's talk about it,
Mm-hmm.
Bring it to the light.
Well, and also, once I got over the idea of, like, okay, I'm going to have a conversation with my doctor, right? I also took it back into, like, prayer and meditation. It's like, I know what my intentions are. Like, I want to be in recovery, right? Like, I want to remain sober. I should not have to subconsciously make myself feel bad because I'm living on this idea that I don't need anything when I'm slowly dying.
Yeah, that's part of changing your playmates' playthings, man. It's how your attitudes and the behaviors, my thought process has changed. And it's a similar thing that you're sitting here telling me. Yeah. At one point, it was buried in your mind that this may not be all right or this isn't real. Mm-hmm. Now you've lived through it and it's real to you. Yeah. So at one hand, it was at one time this, and now it's this, you know?
All right, so to put the focus back on you, because I don't even know who's the host.
No, I love this.
I don't even know who the host is at this point.
I love this. We have these chats once every other month.
We would do. Yeah, you didn't call me back the other day.
I will open this phone and share knowledge to the people.
There's so many people throughout the day that just call me, and I'm like, I'm in a meeting, or I can't, or I got to get back. I just forget.
I got to check in on my strong ones, brother,
Yeah.
Sometimes we got to check. I'm a caller, dude. I don't do I text, but if I call you, I'm calling you for a reason.
Yeah.
Sometimes I forget, though, since I'm a business owner and I work for myself. Like, I'll call someone at 11:14 a.m. on a Tuesday.
Prime time.
And I'm like, you're not answering my call?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't, what? Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll text me, like, yeah, call you right back, ? And I'm like, oh, we're going to hash this out when you call back, brother.
I found that out the hard way when I started calling like some of my union guys, like my buddies that are in unions, and they're like, brother, I'm on the 14th floor.
Seriously.
There's not even like framework up around me right now.
We're not chopping it up right now. Yeah.
So Tyler Bowker, he's actually from South Philly,
Wow.
but I mean, for the longest time, I honestly thought you were from Delaware County.
I'm an opposite.
Probably a major part of it, right? We would be doing ourselves a disservice if we didn't talk about the Recovery Softball League, right? The URSL. Rest in peace for the URSL. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe for a short time, rip to the URSL. We're gonna see. You know what? I grew up. I had a little bit of time in Bowker County as a young man, and some of my friends from up there, they would be from like Ben Salem or Feasterville, and out here they'd be like, "Yeah, I'm from Philadelphia," or I'm from Philly, right? And
I got a few of them. Yep.
When I was younger, I'm like, it's opposite for me. So I'm born and raised South. I went to South Philly High. Shout out to the South Philly Rams. Tough stop, brother. Anyway, I had gotten clean. I claimed Delco. I'm like, I'm from the county, and
you had made it.
We got out. Funny story is on my way out, Chris, I don't know if I told you this. You're going to love this. I was in Eagleville. Eagleville. At this point, I only knew South Philly. I had spent some time with my aunt in Trevose, Bucks County. I didn't know much about geography. They sent me to Eagleville. I might as well be in Kentucky. I have no clue what's going on. Eagleville says, all right, we're sending you to Darby. And I'm like, fucking Darby? What's this house? Cows and sheep?
It's not the best part of Delco.
I thought Darby was farmland. So I'm in the van. I'm 23 days out of rehab. I'm in the van, miserable little 20-year-old prick. And I'm like thinking I'm going to farmland. They drop me on Main Street in Darby. And I'm like, this is not cows and sheep here, brother.
Yep.
And that's where it started for me. There's another softball thing, man. URSL is the United Recovery. The R. I was a big advocate for that. As you know, I was introduced to 2005 men's slow pitch softball, and it became a big part of my life, man. It wasn't just about ball. It was about a group of men that I got with every Sunday, and we kind of came together on Sunday mornings and competed against other people in recovery. Yeah. And there was a guy, Paul Zerby.
Zerby Derby.
Zerby's around. The Zerby Derby was an extension for a fundraiser for Zerby and what he was doing with recovery houses. And there was an NA meeting. Someone had said, hey, this is Paul. He runs a softball league. And that was my introduction, man. Him just being readily available for me to let me know that place existed. We had played ball, and then ball turned into a little more competitive, which is the part where you'll start to remember. I started what was called Delco softball. And if you're from our area, I'm pretty prideful in it. I started that. That was my blood, sweat, and tears. And we put together a team that we would get our dicks kicked in, take it out if you want.
What, early on?
Oh, yeah, you might not know this. First 2 years, Delco had 5 wins combined.
Really?
But, humble brag, 5 years later after that, 7 of the 10 same people that had 5 wins, now 2 decades later, had 6 championships. The same guys. And it's a testament to, there was no, early on, it was the same guys. It was just building that camaraderie with each other. It was that chemistry that came together, the commitment to the person next to me. It was more than softball for us, man. We all were broken, beaten derelicts. And for us, it was just more important. Now, from the outside, you can judge it as much as you want. Like, these guys are taking this too serious. When I tell you it was not about softball, it was about fighting for your brother, week in, week out, because we would go be up on the ladders during the week. This is when I was physically working. We'd be roofing and we'd be carpentry and, guys are doing labor jobs and, wives. And it was a few hours on a Sunday.
That's what we had.
That's what we had. It was a few hours to just go to war and let the rest of life go and just, go to war with your homies, man, on Sunday. And it turned into an opportunity for me to then become the commissioner of that league with 25 plus teams in a tri-state area of thousands.
We had 25 teams at one point.
We had New Jersey teams, ODAT.
Oh, okay. I wasn't around for that.
We had ODAT. We had PA team. We had one team from Delaware that wasn't around long. 25 teams at one time. We had damn near 1,000 active members in the URSL. And it put me in a position to give back, man. It was another area. At this point, we started to win. So we had like that amongst our league mates. We had like this aura, right? But people respected me and valued me as a leader. And for whatever reason, over all these years, man, I'm very grateful for that. And I'm assuming it's a testament to how I live my life. But people have always at least listened to me when I talked and followed me because I was about something little different. Yeah. And they put me in that position to be the commissioner and carry the league and give back and selfless service. Selfless service to the definition.
I can't imagine like what the calls you were getting and stuff like that, right? I can't believe you're canceling us.
Right.
I mean, but like I saw a little bit on the back end with who was our last commissioner? It was Steve, I think.
Yeah, Carrigan.
Yeah.
Carrigan.
And he tried the best he could, right? But I was there, like him fielding some calls, and I'm like, dude, that's the calls you're getting.
Can I tell you a story?
It's like why? Like people are vicious, dude.
Del Rec, the soft in in Delaware, the softball tournament fields.
Yeah.
So they had just renovated this. This is 12 years ago when I'm commissioner, and I have a connect there. That's just a connect. So I want to put the Zerby Derby there. I mean, we're used to playing on in Cotman Avenue up against the prison. So I'm Mitchell. I'm trying to put us in some brother. I'm trying to get us some fences. Get us out the hood.
They weren't having it.
Oh, they fought me tooth and nail. So we get it. I get it, right? And they're like, "You're going to make me drive this far?" And meanwhile, we're playing a charity tournament to help people into recovery. Anyway, I'm not going to say his name. We get snow Friday and Saturday. You know how addicts are. Like, brother, we're playing. Don't worry about that snow, right? So I wait until, Chris, I lie to you not, tourneys start. It's a one-dayer, the Zerby. Tourneys start at 7 a.m. Sunday morning. I'm up 3 a.m. waiting to make the call, dude. I'm trying to give the boys some hope. A guy, I make the call. I cancel. You ready for this? A guy hits my, I could probably pull it up. This is 12, 13 years ago. So the tournament's in Delaware, and the guy hits my inbox and says, Bowker, don't cancel the tournament. After I've canceled, by the way, it's done. I pulled the plug. This
on the way.
The dude says, and I quote, "My cousin studies weather in Delaware, and he said it's not gonna snow." I texted him back one word. I said, "Meteorologist?" ? He said, just a random junkie. He's one of us. He says his cousin, he wanted to play so bad, he dropped that his cousin studies weather. And he said, the weather is good.
Yeah. He believed it, too.
Oh, no, it was as serious as it gets for him.
I don't know who it is. I mean, it's great. But, dude, there's so many stories like that for the URSL. I showed up to a year sober, right? And I'm playing, God rest his soul, I'm playing for Tank, right? Or Tank.
Tank, yeah. It's my buddy.
You want to talk about everything happening for a reason, right?
You were with the long shot boys.
Long shot and beginners, yeah.
Yeah, long shot. He was probably the beginners then.
Yeah, I'm talking about like I saw Pick. You know what I mean?
Playing third base, digging in.
78 years old.
Playing third, right?
Yeah.
Don't test me with new URSL knowledge, brother.
78 years old. This guy is flashing it out there.
Digging
and I'm
in.
like, is this really what recovery is? Like, I'm like, there's something else going on, right? But I met Kyle Curtis at a meeting in Newtown. I didn't know Kyle from a can of paint. He goes, "Hey, we're going to hit some balls." And the
big practice guy.
Yeah, in the next couple of days, right? I show up there. We're at like a field in Bucks County, a nice field, little league field, but like the major size.
Yeah.
We're out there shagging them, and next thing you know, this guy's got to have like what, 4 months, 5 months. Maybe he's from the area. I don't even know how he knew about this whole thing, but he goes, "No, I'm coming up on 5 years." I'm like,
Wow.
Whoa.
It's
You know?
breathtaking, isn't it?
Because at that time, I'm at Independence Lodge. Yeah, he was like, I'm coming up on 5 years, right? Fast forward, first game, we had uniforms. And I was like, okay. First off, there were shorts. And I was like, not my thing. You got baseball pants, I'll put them on. Because again, I'm distorted. I still think I'm going, whatever. And I'm playing for Tink, and that was my first time seeing like that you can have an absolute ball, right? Being clean and sober. And then I found out that it was competitive, like really competitive. And I was like,
almost
this
too
is pretty
much.
fucking awesome. And then again, right, talking about Delco softball, there was a lot of not recovery on Delco softball.
On Sunday mornings, yes, you're right. On Sunday mornings. Because I
haven't seen a fist fight in sobriety other than sober softball,
Well, I was part of many of them. Not even.
Yeah, but listen,
not
it
softball
happens.
though.
But that's the thing though. It happens, right? Like we're very passionate individuals. Throw in maybe a little bit of not working too much of a program or untreated alcoholism, whatever you're calling it at that time, and shit happens.
Oh yeah.
Right. But again, like at the end of the day, right? We were still circling up. Mm-hmm. We were still circling up and saying the Lord's Prayer or the Serenity Prayer at the end. And not to like fast forward way too much, right? But then I found out that like I could travel the nation with a sober softball team.
Steep.
Like you want to talk about like a life beyond my wildest dreams. First off, I would have told you it was corny because I had a completely different mind frame back then. Not only like I didn't even know that I was ever going to get on a plane, Now, not to throw too much out there, but like I can be first class.
How about
because
it?
I'm an addict, right? I'm an alcoholic. First class, going to like Florida or going to Austin, right? Couldn't afford Austin first class. I could do Florida though.
Yeah. The double down comment?
Sober softball.
The double down comment is, now let's get the passport. The double down comment is, that's what I mean. Mm-hmm. The double down comment is like, let's get this passport stamped. Now, Let's go check out Mexico. Let's go check out DR. Let's check out Greece. We don't have to settle in Austin. Beautiful. I love the United States of America. Mm-hmm. Just to double down.
Yeah, I mean, the United States for me was like Long Beach Island and Wildwood. And that was it.
I love going to Wildwood for vacation and seeing the same guy that you were just on the street corner with. Mm-hmm. It was like, hey, I'm on vacation. Oh, hey, Anthony, you live on my street.
Sorry. So recovery, I mean, it's obviously the best game in town, right? You talked a little bit about like your purpose throughout like the entire thing. But you didn't talk about like when you got clean and sober at 20, right? Like what were you doing? Delivering pizzas, like running drywall, running muck. I don't know what you're doing, but I know what you do now, right? Mm-hmm. I know that like, you've created something really special and it's been around for a number of years. Like what all happened there?
Early days, we can fast forward it. Early days, I had gotten with a guy. Man, the problem is if I get into this, what this guy is doing now is going to be on Nat Geo because he's now on the other side. He's not active recovery. This man, we won't put his name, came and picked me up from the recovery house. He owned a couple different small businesses, and he would make sure that the quality of my life would start in the morning. Whether there was work or not, he would pick me up, we'd get in the truck. That man told me, Tyler, if you can ever better yourself through me, you do it. Meaning any of his connections, his clients, his customers, he didn't keep it to himself. And what happened is I found an opportunity from one of his clients, a job in the construction. They sent me to school to read blueprints and drawings and supervisory
I didn't know that.
stuff. They had started sending me to do some work in the airport. And then from there was a time to, I was just grinding, man. The work was construction. I had, again, this can go on. Before construction, I played poker for a living. There was 2 years that I gambled for a living, paid my bills with poker money, and then I had gotten a job in construction. I climbed my way in the construction field, man. I just showed up. I always had the mentality, even using drugs. My first bag of reefer that I bought $10 worth of weed, and I said, if there's this many grams in an ounce, why don't I just buy the ounce and figure out how to expedite this process and make some money? Then the dime can be free. So I've always had that hustle, make a little more than the next guy, think different. And from my first real job in construction, I wanted to be a business owner. I wanted to learn and have healthy relationships with different clients and different corporations and different industries. I wanted the opportunity to, quite frankly, fail. I wanted an opportunity to learn for myself. I don't work well with hierarchy. I like calling my own shots, beating my own drum. And I started the company called GT Builders, man. GT Builders came about 2009. I wanted to make sure people had opportunities to have a fair wage in an industry that has some, funky stigma to it. I mean, I'm talking about I want to make sure that I can support people's families and give 401k options and benefits and workers' comp. And I want to provide something for my peers, man. At the same time, I want to be able to earn a little something extra, and I put my money where my mouth is. And I didn't make money for a long time, buddy. It wasn't like my friends would be like, oh, Tyler's a business owner. Brother, if you even knew what that was like, with 18 years clean and decades in business, I will leave here and work. Mm-hmm. I will be in my truck thinking about firing off, writing emails, notes for office like it does not stop, right? But there's a separation there. So that's what it was like for me early, just grinding. I didn't have mommy or daddy. This wasn't a family business. What I know for sure that recovery can do for you, I've never seen it fail, undefeated. And if you don't know what undefeated means, look it up. Never had failed. That if you put your mind to something and you see it through, you will find a level of success in there. Undefeated. Mm-hmm. I didn't have mom. I had Philadelphia public school education. I had no backing, no funding, nothing. I started a business, hustled, lost, and earned until I found success. There's no magic potion. There's no woe is me. I had it as bad, equally as bad to my peers.
I think the huge or the most important part that I heard you say, right, is like seeing it through, right? Because if you see it through, you haven't failed yet because you're not done, right? I'm sure you hit a ton of like dead ends. I'm sure you hit, and to this day, I'm sure there's dead ends, right? But if you're still seeing it through, there's still a way.
For anybody that's actually interested in this, and it's near and dear to me, all the things that I've quote unquote failed at are the foundation of my life that I have built fucking skyscrapers on. So if you're not experiencing that hurt and pain, you're doing it wrong. If you come from where I come from and where you come from, and we are doing this ourselves, if you don't experience pain, hurt, and loss, you're doing it wrong. All of the nice things I have are off that base of that foundation.
Yeah. And listen, that's the whole deal, right? Where it's like my mom always told me growing up, right? Because, you want to talk about like feeling different early on, right? And maybe when I was first sitting in a treatment center and I was like, well, maybe I didn't, fit in. I appreciate things to a different level, right? Because I never had any of that, right? My kids today, right? It's so crazy to hear me like actually even intellectualize what I'm about to say. Want and need for nothing, right? And it's maybe because again, I'm a sick individual, right? I can be honest there, but the truth of the matter is like that's all recovery, right? Without recovery, without like the positive people that I have in my life, because recovery, the ripple effect is super large.
Oh yeah. Seismic.
I have
aftershocks.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. I didn't know how to make a phone bill payment before I got sober.
My brother, shout out to my brother. It was rent time. We had gotten clean, and his first sponsor, we rented the house. This is, I get chills, man. His wife was like, yo, it's you owe. We need to check. And neither one of us knew how to write a check. I mean, it's not, I'm talking about real life. Like, we didn't know how to fill the check out to write a rent check, What an awesome guy. Lucky for me, he came before me a couple years and he paved the way. He never once told me, like, you need to come to a meeting, you need help. What he did was he was paying bills and he had a healthy relationship and he was going to work. It talks about in Narcotics Anonymous, the attraction rather than promotion, you know.
I went through the time where I would have like tried to beat anybody over the head with the big book. And I was super unsuccessful for a number of years. But there's also a part in that big book that I just had forgot to actually reference when I was trying to beat them over the head with the big book. Is it says a better example of like what we do in here, right, lies in our respective families, our homes, and, you know, our jobs. And like that's just like it rings so true, right? Because even if I'm not actively talking to somebody or picking their brain, I'm watching, right? And like anything that I'm doing today in my life is because I watched somebody do it before, right? And there's something either attractive about it or I like what, you know, either they stand for or whatever the case may be. But again, not to beat a dead horse, but it's all recovery.
It's all recovery, man. But don't short self. Like, we can't shortchange ourselves. Like, we are the vessel. God's just riding shotgun, and he's the director, right? He's telling us turn left and right. We still have to show up every day and attack life. We have to attack the family. We have to attack the career. We have to still be the vessel, but he's just leading us, right? So there is a testament to where...
If I can see it.
Yes, that's faith. This is faith. That's called faith. So, you know, all I'm saying is oftentimes let's not get too spiritually driven to where you remove how much of an honor and privilege it is to call you my friend, buddy, how much you have done for yourself and your family. Remove the shortcomings and the defects that we have. And we talk. What you have, you did. Okay. Now, God put you in a place to execute here. You still needed to perform.
Yeah.
Okay. You still needed to perform. So let's not shortchange ourselves. That's where I'm at these days, man. I'm hungry.
So my comment about like, if I can see it, right, is like, and I'm sure you've experienced it, right, where like everything in your life is going great, right? But unless I'm, again, doing what I need to do, right, or just completely blocked off from this at one point, this connection that I built with a higher power, it doesn't matter if, like, I stub my toe.
Recovery must come first. If it comes first, all of these things that we're talking about fall in line. There's no but. There's no but. There's no comma. Recovery must come first. Revolve your day around the meeting, not the meeting around your day. If I got that right. Or is it vice versa? Whatever. But the point is, if recovery comes first, there's no more, I'm not present to see, right? But.
Yeah. I feel like we could literally be here all night.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wasn't sure how I would feel. I enjoyed it. I don't often, me and you talk, you know, about some of these things sometimes, but I don't often get into, you kind of strip some. I don't talk about mom. I don't, you, other than me and you messing around with guys, you don't hear me talk about the things I have. You don't hear me say GT builders, GT media, paint. Like I don't talk about them things because I'm very humble in my...
No, I mean, the majority of the time that we talk, and we're in two different fellowships, right? So contrary to the belief of people not thinking that AA and NA don't get along, I bounce a lot of stuff off you, and you bounce some stuff off me, and you've been checking me for the last, 2 years now? Year? I don't even know.
That's what relationships are, though, right? Yeah. That's why I call, right? That's why because...
You don't always get me, but...
Well, here we go. This guy, important fellow we got here.
Yeah. No, it's just selfish. It's just selfish stuff on my end. But yeah,
I'm selfish too. Like I won't not call. Like I need to stay clean. I'm going to hit my list.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take no for an answer.
Yeah.
You see how I am, brother.
Oh, no, you hit me with I think whatever follow-up text it was, you were like, nice thought.
Yeah, right. No, you were like, I'll get back to you soon. It was 4 days later. You're like, get back to you soon. Yeah, it's funny.
I think I actually walked out of a meeting and I was like, I got to call this guy.
Yeah. Life is busy, man. A lot of things come up, but it's good to value these relationships and friendships. And because at the end of the day, life is so short, man. So it's like you grab hold of what means the most to you in your life and just hold on to it tight, man. Because tomorrow, as you know and I know, God can take one of us, you know, with no rhyme or reason. So the cool thing about having a good understanding with life is just grab hold of what means the most to you, man, and be grateful for what you have, you know. And it's okay to want more, though. That's the message that I have to people, man. It's okay. Like, we don't have to settle in, you know. Now, I got to be limited. We can't tell the kid with 60 days clean,
Sure,
brother, let's start multiple LLCs and fire off some investment money. Let's structure a corporation. No, but what I'm talking about is some professionals that are dug in that may want more, right? That may want more for themselves.
Yeah.
Assuming we're checking the God box and the 12-step box and the sponsorship and the service and the prayer, like assuming we're checking all these boxes, and if you have that fire, gas it. You know, double down, man.
Because what ends up happening, right? We see it all the time, right? Where it's like people happens more often than we think, right? Like addicts, alcoholics, like we can be super successful, right? We are very smart individuals.
The smartest.
And we bounce back quick to the point where it's a little scary.
It is scary.
Right? Like 60, 90 days clean or sober. And I'm like, I don't really need that program.
I'm all right. You know.
But furthermore, right, like we can build those LLCs, we can build businesses, we can be very super, you know, pretty successful people. And then what do I need that program for, right? And then you see them go out, right? And I'm not saying that that's like, you know, happens every single day, right? But again, like it's a really good point. I firmly believe in my heart, and it's been kind of a driving theme in my own internal self-talk ever since I got out of treatment the last time, right? Where it's like, okay, now I'm sober, but now what, right? And I used to care. Here's me being like really transparent, right? Is like I used to care so much about what people thought about me that like one or two comments directed towards me or at me that I didn't like, I just completely stopped that behavior 100%. And then really I thought I was being... It was actually helping me more than like, you know, me putting it out there for any feedback or anything like that. Like one of the things I did early on was like, I would see a cool, a motivational quote, right? This is before TikTok and all that other stuff. And I was like, okay, copy, put it on my status, right? Because who knows? I don't know if somebody needs to see that or whatever the case may be. And a good amount of people would comment and be like, oh, Preacher Woods. And I'm like, all right, I guess it is corny. I'll stop it.
Yeah,
right.
dude.
And
Because I can't say that one.
But I would literally care so much about what people thought. And at the end of the day, and most recently, it's like, what's it matter?
Doesn't. It literally
doesn't matter at all.
It doesn't. What does matter, though, and again, you keep going back to it, and I'm going to keep saying it. If recovery comes first, it talks about money, property, prestige, not diverting us from our primary purpose. Now, our primary purpose being active members and men in recovery. If we check the box, don't let money, property, or prestige divert us from that. Here's what other people are thinking, doing, saying. Now it's time we're fulfilled. Our spirit is fulfilled, our home, our happy. I'm just anti-content at this moment in my life. Like that's the devil to me. In my professional life specifically, you know? Contentment, get him out of there. Some people strive for that. That's the dream for some people. But I have such a portfolio of everyday life, staying clean one day at a time, that I'm shooting elsewhere. I'm taking some shots. Active in recovery, but professionally, I'm getting after it.
Yeah, why not?
That's what I'm saying.
So we're definitely out of time. I also didn't mention that this buddy of mine that helps me with this thing, he would be really upset with me if I didn't say, if you like what you're hearing, right, make sure that you like, comment, or subscribe to this channel on the socials, Instagram, Pain W Purpose, right, Apple, Spotify, Pain with a Purpose, and on YouTube, Pain with a Purpose podcast. We are also going to have like a GT Media thing that pops up. But other than that, I really appreciate you coming out. I'll deny that I say this to anybody else, and we're probably going to keep this in, but this is by far the best conversation that I've had on the podcast to date.
I enjoyed it, buddy. I really hope that we get the support for this podcast. I have some personal experience in being expectations. So our people, our friends, make sure that we are doing our due diligence in supporting,
I appreciate
following,
that.
liking, because I will.
Mm-hmm.
I will.
Yeah, I try to do, again, another tangent, right? But like anything, if anybody like follows me on my socials before this stuff came out, everybody would be like, "What are you doing with that gym? Like, do you like?" No, I don't own any of that. Like, those are just my friends.
Yeah.
Outside of recovery, right? Because like they have, what a beautiful gift. I can build relationships outside of
Doing
recovery.
something nice for somebody and not expecting something in return.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's a shocker. It's a
Yeah.
lost art, brother.
So with that, we will shut it down for the night.
Cool.
But yeah, stay tuned next week for episode 4, right?
That says 3 up there, so yeah, 4's next.
Yep. All right.
Cool, my man.
Appreciate you, brother.
Bye.
Cool.